the Chiefs, were really struggling in terms of depth last season. They did have a lot of depth, really, and they got to the Super Bowl with their depth, but they need a guy that they can really rely on. And he's a top 5 guard in the league. Ever since he entered the league, he's really been top 3. And I think that's kind of what the Chiefs need, especially with Patrick Mahomes in the youngness and that he's still in the young part of his career, kind of in the prime of his career. I'm curious to what you think about this from a coaching perspective. We've seen Patrick Mahomes drift a lot in the pocket, drift further back, kind of make the job a little bit harder on his tackles. And some of that says his distrust in the guards. Do you think that this will kind of help him solve that drifting problem a little bit?
Well, I think it should. The one thing you never want to take away from Patrick Mahomes is his ability to create.
Right.
And sometimes, we've seen it, that drift and then get out of the pocket. He's made some great plays, but you're certainly right. It puts a lot of stress on the tackles because they're used to the quarterback being in a certain spot behind them. And when he starts to drift, it gives an advantage to that defensive end because it gives them more time and more space to rush. Teams have to be solid up front in the middle. When you're the quarterback and you're taking that shotgun snap 4, 5, 6 yards from behind center, if you feel immediate pressure in your face, your natural instinct is I got to avoid it. I got to get out and I'm going to go backwards. So solidifying the interior is certainly going to help Patrick, because we know that he can absolutely work from the pocket. Now he can get out of the pocket and make amazing throws as well. But you want to solidify that up inside. It's also going to help their run game. On defense, teams are going to put, if they have a 3 technique, if they have that guy that's lined up over your guard, that they can get isolated in one-on-one, that's the most direct route to the quarterback. And so you better have a guy up inside or a couple guys up inside that can match up with the best in the business. And I think now, without a doubt, the Chiefs do.
When we talk about the interior offensive line, that was kind of the Chiefs' bugaboo last season, and it really showed, I think, once we hit the Super Bowl. They also added another piece to the interior offensive line, and Kyle Long coming out of retirement, signing with the Chiefs with a 1-year deal. Were you surprised at that move at all?
I was and I wasn't. I felt like Kyle had gotten out of the league prematurely. From an outsider's perspective, of course, he had his reasons. But I think once again, it shows the strength of the culture that the Kansas City Chiefs have created there. That a guy like Kyle Long, who's a Pro Bowler, who was sitting on the sidelines, said, hey, listen, I'm going to come out of retirement and I want to be on this team. I don't know what the market was like for him, and I don't know how many teams, he actually considered. But the fact that he signed with the Chiefs on a 1-year deal, to me, speaks volumes for the Chiefs. And once again, it gives them a man, I don't want to say a young man, a real man who fits their culture, who's selfless, who's a winner, who's a heck of a player in the past, who's coming off of a year off, so maybe his body's revived a little bit. We know that Kyle's not a guy that sat around and got fat. I mean, he's an active guy, and he fits right into that culture, and I love the fact that they're taking their time and these are not glamour positions, right?
Right.
But they're positions of need, and they're getting the right type of player and the right type of person that fits who they want to identify as. And I think they're just fantastic moves. They've done a great job of re-signing players. They've done a great job of building the roster that they want. And these are just great welcome additions.
So it was clear at the beginning of the offseason, I think it was just over a week ago, the Chiefs let Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz go. They let them walk, and they basically said, okay, we're going to totally rebuild this offensive line. They are in negotiations with Austin Ryder, when they previously said that they probably wouldn't talk to him, but now they've extended an offer sheet out to him. He's going to consider that. But now they're going to have to start really 60% of their offensive line is going to be different. And starting from the inside, you mentioned this earlier, starting inside and out. Do you think that's kind of the right strategy for rebuilding the offensive line, is starting with the interior and going out?
Well, I think it depends on your needs. I don't think there's a more important position, on offense besides your quarterback than your left tackle. Your left tackle has to be somebody that can protect that quarterback. You're going to get your premier pass rushers typically on the right side of the defense, the left side of the offense. Now, that's not always true, but that's just a position it's a premium position, and players are getting paid premium numbers to play that left tackle position. but you certainly have to be strong inside as well. I think any team is smart when they have a great quarterback, one of the great quarterbacks probably of this generation, that they invest in their offensive line. That's where they have to go. And they always have to be aware of that through free agency, through the draft, through trades. And there are still some players out there that are either available as free agents or maybe available in trades that they could still target to come in and build that offensive line room even stronger. The last thing that the Chiefs want to do is get in a situation like they got into last year, where it was the struggles of the offensive line and the backups having to play that essentially was a part of their downfall in the Super Bowl. Part of it. It wasn't all of it, but it was certainly a big part of it. We saw different Patrick Mahomes. At least I felt like I did, especially in the second half. It was just like he's not the same, and it's because he's under constant barrage.